This workout here is called the Big 5 #Flatten the Curve workout. Big 5 implying that we're going to use 5 primal movements, big exercise. One of my favorite types of workouts where you just focus on these 5 things and go ham with those 5 exercises to get the most out of them. And then the flatten the curve portion is going to be a series of what we call pyramid training. So we're going to do 5 sets of the 5 exercises. Pyramid training, we're going to start with 10 reps on your first set, 12 on your second, 15 on your third, 12 on your fourth, and 10 on your fifth. So it's a volume type of pyramid, and the idea is to build and accumulate volume to help with muscle growth. So big 5, flatten the curve, pyramid up, pyramid down. The one other thing with your pyramid is what you can do is you kind of ease into it with your 10 reps on the first set, and then you go for 12, and then you go for 15. And if you want to, you can increase the weights on sets 4 and sets 5, again, to really push it with this workout. The first exercise we're going to perform is called the Goblet Sumo Squat. So with your Sumo Squat, Goblet, you're holding up in front, and instead of our regular squat where we're shoulder width apart, we're going to go a little bit wider. Instead of pointing our toes at around 15 to 30 degrees, it's going to be more 30 to 45. We're going to work more inside the groins here, our adductors, as we drop down. You probably won't be able to get as low, but that's totally okay. You're going to lower down. It's going to be 1, 2, and then drive up and squeeze. Lower down, 1, 2, drive up and squeeze, lower down, 1, 2, drive up and squeeze. From a side angle view, same thing, lowering down, 1, 2, up and squeeze, 1, 2, up and squeeze. Much like your regular squat, same rules apply where I'm driving my knees wide. I want my knees tracking the same direction as my toes. I only go down to a point where my spine stays nice and neutral. When I'm right at the bottom, I'll probably feel some sort of locking and engaging right at my hips that says don't go any lower, and then you drive up and squeeze at the glutes. The second exercise is going to be what we call a 3-point row. You're going to have 3 points of contact, and then you're performing a bend over row. What I'm going to do, I have my trusty ottoman here, which I'm going to use. That's an option for you. The other option would be if you don't have an ottoman or a workout bench, just place your hand right in against the wall, perform the same movement. I'm going to show you with the ottoman here. I'm going to have my feet staggered, shoulder width apart. I want my torso to be as close to 90 degrees parallel to the floor as possible. And then from here, I'm going to pull into my hip, little pause, that's 1. Pull into my hip, little pause, that's 2. Pull into my hip, little pause, that's 3. This here is also a very good core exercise, anti-rotation. So much like you were doing with your 3-point planks, trying to minimize rotation at the hips, pretending you have that glass of water on your back. Same thing applies for your 3-point row. So you don't want to pick a weight where you have to yank and pull. You want to pick a perfect weight that allows you to maintain that solid, stable form while still making it challenging for your row. All your reps on one side, and then all your reps on the other side. For your next exercise, what I call dumbbell good mornings. With a good morning, you're going to have that weight somewhere up planted right around your neck height. Typical barbell good morning, it goes behind your neck. Dumbbell good morning, it's going to go in front. It's a hinging pattern. So much like a deadlift, I'm going to take this dumbbell, I'm going to prop it up, I'm going to hold it here tight, and then I'm going to perform that hip hinge. So dipping down, little lockout in the hamstrings, drive forward and squeeze. Dipping down, little lockout in the hamstrings, drive forward and squeeze. Dipping down, lock out in the hamstrings, drive forward and squeeze. As I'm coming down with this exercise, same thing from a front angle view, dipping down. You want to try and feel both hamstrings lock out evenly. Once you get to the bottom, you drive forward and squeeze at your glutes. Lower into it relatively slowly so you can feel that tension build up in your hamstrings. If you're not a fan of the dumbbell good morning, the other option would just be to hold that dumbbell in front. Perform the exercise like so, dipping down, driving up, dipping down, driving up. The dumbbell good morning is going to place more of a challenge, more of an emphasis to really keep that core braced, nice and tight, nice and strong. But again, if you don't like it, you have that alternative option. This next exercise, I'm going to give you a few options. Option number 1, if you have an ottoman or a workout bench, it's going to be called the McGill Press. McGill Press is a single arm pressing variation, very, very challenging, that's going to recruit a lot of core into it as well. It's an anti-extension exercise as well as an anti-rotation exercise with a good solid hip bridge to it. How you perform this exercise, you're going to grab your dumbbell, prop it up onto your hips, you're going to lean down, and then you bridge up. My head is resting here, my glutes are on. I want no extension through my lower back, so I've got to keep those glutes nice and tight. And we also don't want to press and rotate to one side, so we've got to keep that stomach strong. I'm going to lower down And then I'm gonna press up, that's 1, lower down. Press up, that's 2, lower down. Press up, that's 3. Always driving with my heel through the floor to really keep my glute on, core engaged. When I'm done, bring the dumbbell down to your chest, flip it over to the other side. Down, press up 1. Down, press up 2. When you're done, just place that dumbbell on the floor, and then prop up is the safest way to do it. If you do not have a bench or an ottoman, here's your second option. So similar, anti-rotation, anti-extension. You're gonna do a half kneeling overhead shoulder press, so like so. Half kneeling, glute is on tight, stomach is strong. I'm gonna press that dumbbell overhead, bring it down, that's 1. Press that dumbbell overhead, bring it down, that's 2. So a really good core variation to a dumbbell pressing exercise. Your third option, if you're not an overhead press person, if you have any shoulder type issues, is to just do a lie down from the floor. Same thing, perform that McGill press, keep those hips up, drive down, press up, drive down, press up. So option 1, McGill press with the ottoman. Option 2, half kneeling overhead shoulder press. Option 3 would be a glute bridge with that floor press, single arm, one side, other side. For our final exercise in this Big 5 series, we are going to combine unilateral lower body exercise with a bridging exercise. I'm going to give you an option if you have an ottoman or a workout bench, and I'll give you an option if you do not. Single leg dumbbell hip thrust. Single leg body weight hip thrusts are hard enough as is, but we are going to add a dumbbell in only if you feel comfortable. How do you do so? You're going to take that dumbbell, you're going to place it right along the crease of your hip here. You might want to place a towel or a cloth underneath the head of the dumbbell if you find it uncomfortable. From there, I'm going to go down, shoulders up, so bottom of my shoulder blades right on the edge of that ottoman. From here, my feet are basically together. I'm going to drive my non-working leg up. So I hold that up, I'm going to dip down, drive up and squeeze. That's 1 rep. Dip down, drive up and squeeze 2. Dip down, drive up and squeeze 3. Notice how I only have to hold a little bit of the dumbbell head right there. I'm just keeping it right in that spot, making sure I can recruit my glute adequately. All my reps on one side, I'm going to switch down, drive up, that's 1. Dip down, drive up, that's 2. All my reps on the other side. As I mentioned, if you find that you can't get your glutes to recruit enough using a dumbbell, just perform this exercise body weight. You should not feel it in your lower back whatsoever. You should feel a good solid glute contraction. If you do not feel a good solid glute contraction, or you do not have an ottoman accessible to you, what you're going to do is perform that glute bridge, but from the floor. So I'm going to be lying down here, same idea. Foot tucks in, one leg up, non-working leg, hip at 90 degrees. I'm going to drive up and I'm going to hold. Make sure I feel that glute. Down, drive up, hold, squeeze, up, hold, squeeze. Reps on one side, reps on the other side. For this variation here, you can absolutely add the dumbbell in if it's appropriate for you. But again, make sure you really feel that good, strong glute contraction as you perform the reps. If you don't feel it with the ottoman in that hip thrusting position, do so from the floor in a glute bridge position. And if you don't feel it from either position, then just stick to your regular double leg glute bridges. Mini band glute finisher. This is one of my favorite finishers, simple and effective. We're going to be performing fire hydrants, and we're also going to be performing quadruped kickbacks. As always, if you do not have a mini band accessible to you, simply perform the exercises without that mini band. For my fire hydrants, I'm going to take the mini band, I'm going to place it just below my knees here. I'm going to go down on all fours. We got to maintain a nice, strong, stable core as we're doing so. Wrists right underneath the shoulders, knees right underneath the hips. From here, I'm going to bring my knees together. So my one knee that's staying down is in the center of my body. And then from here, I'm going to raise out 1, 2, 3. Going into external rotation with that hip. Driving out, I'm going to perform all my reps on one side, and then I'm going to switch all my reps on the other side. I'm going to go back and forth with my fire hydrant exercise for 25 per side, 20 and then 15. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that mini band, I'm going to bring it down, I'm going to place it right around my feet, and then from here, it's right on the laces of my shoes. Same idea, knees relatively together, same position with your arms, with your knees down underneath your hips, and then you're going to drive and kick out. 1, 2, 3, 4. When performing this exercise, you're not kicking up. We want to prevent any extension through our lower back. Sometimes, if you do find you have a big arch in your back, it will also help to do the exercise just down on your elbows, like so. So whichever position that you prefer, you find feels better. When you're kicking out, you're kicking straight back and just a little bit out to the side to get that maximum glute recruitment. Perform all your reps on one side, 25, 25 on the other, 20, 20, 15, 15, and you are all done.